This is one of the rarest apples in our collection. This is called Pendu Plat. I was fascinated by the odd name, and even more fascinated by the fact that this is the oldest apple, as is believed, in common cultivation. It was widely grown in Elizabethan times, that is to say Queen Elizabeth I, and it was then called the whcih apple because it blossomed later than any other variety. So however bad the frost was, and we did have a disastrous year, I think it was 1997, I'm not absolutely certain, but we had very late frosts here once in late April and early May with 2 killer frosts, and I saw all the little fruitlets turn black and drop off, and we had no apples that year. It was the last straw. A lot of English growers went out of business because those killer frosts just completely destroyed the crop. This used to be more common, and anyway, Pendu Plat would escape this because it blossomed much later than the other apples, hence the whcih apple. Now, any apple which has been in common cultivation for hundreds of years before the advent of spraying technologies and understanding of pests and diseases has got to have a lot going for it, because the growers would have made a choice. 2 men would have been chatting over a pint of ale or whatever, and discussing apples, as men do, and would have done much more so in former times when there was no television to watch, and when you grew more of your own food, or you didn't survive so well. And someone would have said, "Oh, my apples are all gone rotten this year," and someone would have said, "Oh, you want to try some of my whcih apples, because they be very good." And this is a sturdy apple. It's not a heavy cropper, but it's a very sturdy apple, and I mentioned the genetics of it. This apple in another video about Suntan. This apple was crossed with Cox's Orange Pippin to produce in 1955, the same year I was produced, an apple called Suntan, which has a flavour of pineapples in it, which is quite amazing. And I often chew one of these, quite sharp. It's a bit starchy and acid, so it's not really fully ripe yet, although some people like them like this. There's a definite hint of pineapple flavour in this apple. So, Pendu Plat. As ever, I'll put some more information about it in the text box in the top right hand corner. This is a very rare apple. It's a small apple. It's a funny shape, sort of flattened apple. And it's believed to have been introduced to Britain by the Romans, I don't know what, 1800, 1900 years ago, and it's believed to be the oldest apple. There's a woodpecker up there, by the way. I don't know if you can see him. You probably heard him. That was a greater spotted woodpecker came up and perched on the lamp on the electricity wire for a while. But anyway, Pendu Plat. This is not the only apple to plant in your garden, probably, but if you've got a collection of 10 apples, plant some steady ones like Lord Lambourne and Kiss Orange Red and Suntan and Sunset and Suntan Egremont Russet, as well as good steady regular apples. You should probably plant at least one very rare old heritage variety. Apples like this are a hop and a skip away from extinction. Lawrence Hills used to write about apples. He wrote a great book called The Good Fruit Guide. I got a lot of my original inspiration and information from him. He said, these apples are more a part of our English national heritage than the paintings by Goya and Rembrandt that hang in the National Gallery. And I think that's a very reasonable point of view, because these apples were passed down to us from our ancestors, and they used them to survive. They grew them with love, they shared them with care, and they lived on them. So Pendu Plat, of all the apples in my collection which really must not be allowed to go extinct, this would be very close to the top of the list. But as I say, it is a small apple, it's not a heavy cropper, and it's a good apple as part of a collection, but probably no one is ever going to grow this commercially, and we just grow a few for exhibition, for genetic reasons. And if I ever did plant a pip to try to grow a new variety, this would be one of the chief contenders because of its age and its very significant genetic heritage.